up, everyone? I am waiting on Austin. What else is new? Austin asked to do a mailbag, so here we are. We're going to do a mailbag. Thank you to everyone for joining. We'll talk about anything you want to. Literally anything. I don't care. I'll talk about anything. Mostly the Sixers. We'll have Austin Krell in here any minute. And hit me with some comments. Let's get some questions. I'm sure Austin's got some news. We were just texting back and forth while he wasn't getting in here. Hey, Justin. So anyway, thank you all for joining. We're going to have a good time tonight. I assume we're going to have a good time. Blue Coats, yeah. Hop in. Let's talk some Blue Coats. I think they play at 9 p.m., 9:15 tonight. I got to figure out what channel in the hotel they're playing on, see if I can watch. But hop in, Justin. Let's talk. Let's talk Blue Coats. Second round of the playoffs. They won their first ever playoff game last night. Sorry about the jumpiness. I'm sitting on a couch in a honestly, Justin, if I knew how that got done, I would tell you. But
what's up?
Let me edit my name because I don't even remember putting it in that way.
Yeah, I looked at it. I said, what's Twitter?
Look, I really. That's how I normally have it. I don't even know what the other one was. I swear someone else put that in for me. That's my story. Blue Coats. So we've got Justin Persichetti, the man on the beat. Aram, good to see you. Haven't seen you on in a bit. I haven't done a lot of live streams lately. So, Justin, you picked the right season to cover the Blue Coats.
I see. Here's the thing. It's hilarious because I didn't pick shit. It's so funny how timing works and how life happens randomly.
Yeah, I mean every year has the Paul Reeds. It has the individual player development storylines. So you're getting that. What the sheer density of games and the playoff, the win streaks is a new thing. So the fact that they made their first playoff game and then exploded last night, cruised, right? I would say
something that surprised me honestly was like they were getting everything done on offense, even from three. And it really surprised me because Jared Brownridge wasn't even playing. And I actually didn't notice that till halfway through the game because obviously Isaiah Joe was starting at the shooting guard for them. Yep. But Brownridge is usually one of their first guys on the bench, and I did not see him. So I was like, that's obviously not good. So I want to ask Connor about Brownridge, but I also don't want to waste a question. So I'm like,
that is the challenge, right? Sunday, I got called on the Doc Rivers All-Star Game availability. I prepped a question thinking it'd be near the end if I ever got called. First question. So I asked a question that should not have gone first. But there's an art to covering a team where you know you're going to get one question. You don't exactly know where in the sequence. Although I think we're finding out with the Blue Coats, we're pretty
popular. Yeah, I've noticed almost every game that I've been getting
breaking news. Austin Krell is late for a stream.
It's only 4 minutes late this time.
Shocker of all shockers. Only 4 minutes late. You know, I don't remember exactly who said it, but they said if you're 5 minutes early, you're late. Anyway.
I think his name is Jason.
No, I didn't make that up. I wish. That would be a great one. All right, so, yeah.
Shit. Oh,
Isaiah
yeah.
Joe
I,
put
I, know, I noticed
15
as soon as the NBA guys started going on there the past like few days, and like the last game of the Blue Coats regular season, and then the first playoff game, you guys get all the first questions. I'm like, dang it.
You'll understand the hierarchy. The hierarchy is how it
Yeah,
works.
no, and I've understood that. I mean, yesterday, I was the first. I got the first question with Isaiah Joe, which kind of surprised me because Kai got the second one. I was like, oh,
You put the
I was
work
like,
in.
all right.
You put the work in. Kai works his tail off. But you've been there consistently with this team. You've been rocking with them all year. So good for you. Isaiah Joe got the ultimate green light. If there's ever
Oh my God,
a greener light than getting up 15 threes in a game.
18 shots, 15 threes, crazy.
And I felt like he was letting them close out a little bit too much, and he was going to that sort of like close out, step right, drive to the basket, which is not his game too much. And it turns out he only did that 3 times and put up 15 threes. So I guess I was wrong. My eye test was off. What do you think of Vince Carter as a sort of color commentator?
I don't think he was that bad, but if I'm honest with you, I don't think I know a lot of people have strong opinions on commentators, but realistically, I'm like not even paying attention to what they're saying at the time. I'm more or less watching so I literally at times will have it muted just watching because I'm trying to I don't know. Like I know a lot of people have strong opinions on that, but I thought he did fine.
Yeah, I think Tony Romo came in and just made every other athlete transitioning it's just it shows how tough that is to be compelling in the color commentator role, because you want to be insightful and yet entertaining, and you just I see these legends, these Hall of Fame type players, and I just want a little bit more from them. What were your thoughts, Austin? Did you listen to the game? Did you watch the game last night?
I did watch. I watched a lot of the second half. I was doing something with the first half, recording a podcast actually with Brock.
Were you on time for that one?
What?
Were you on time for that one? Did you start on time?
Maybe I was maybe a minute or two behind. Maybe a minute or two. Listen, when the talent's always fashionably late. That's how it goes. You heard me. So
the talent is always there before everybody else. I want to point that one out. I will say.
No. Those are the ones that need extra work.
Tell that to Kobe.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So I would say, I think Tony Romo set the standard for everybody. I generally don't really have I just don't feel certain ways about like the play-by-play, like the color commentators. Like, for example, there are certain things that people get all upset about. I don't care. Like, if you show me a comedy, I generally think there's no such thing as a bad or a good comedy to me. It's just like it's either.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. No. I there's no such thing as like a good plot in a comedy. I just don't think there is. Or like if someone says this is a good movie, this is not a good movie. I generally don't see like a threshold or like a line in the sand. Same thing goes for play-by-play. I just don't think there's a bad color commentator out there. Like unless you're not attentive or you're like falling asleep like Eric Snow would when he was with Zoom Off. The only thing I can't stand is like when you have terrible play-by-play. Like, can we please stop with Marv Albert? He's horrible. He is
I think he's ready to. I hope he's ready to pack it in. His inability to.
Is that the guy who always like forgets names and everything like that?
Yeah, not good. Yeah. Why don't we talk about some actual like news? So, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. The update we got today is that they require 2 negative PCR tests Joel will get his Thursday and Friday. Ben looks like he will get his second test on Saturday. So Ben will miss the next 2 games. Joel will miss Thursday night for sure. And we'll see from there how the test goes. Thoughts on the 2 of them? Thoughts on Barbergate and them missing the All-Star game and them potentially missing a week here. What do you guys think?
So everyone's like up in arms about it, and like Adam Silver did this, Adam Silver sucks, yada yada yada. It's not Adam Silver. Like he's made Kevin Durant go into the protocol too. Like it's been a fair protocol when they've had to serve it. I think if anything, people should be up in arms, and they still are. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with that. But they should have never had to play the Denver game that they lost, and whatever. In that whole situation. But I mean, the protocol is a protocol, and they were exposed. It's unfortunate. You got to do what you got to do. I thought that based on the reporting, I don't know, maybe I just misread some tweets, or getting actual reports confused with people who are just assuming that this was the case. I thought they went together to get their hair done. So
it doesn't seem that way. Based on the wording of the text, I don't know if you got the injury update text.
I don't get texts. No, I don't get texts.
Let me read it, and I'll just read exactly what we got. Okay.
Let's not use that word in the chat, please. Please, let's just not use that word. Not good.
What?
I think I don't know if this was a typo, but he said so. It's like he's saying gay.
Oh yeah, we're not using that word.
He's happy.
All right, here's the update we got. Both Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are quarantining for 7 days from their last exposure to the person who tests positive. We know that's the barber. As long as each player continues to test negative, Embiid will be cleared to return to team activities once he receives a lab-based PCR negative result on Friday, March 12th. And Simmons will be cleared to return to team activities once he receives a lab-based PCR negative result on Saturday, March 13th. So that is the update that we got from the team. I think Shams tweeted something, 280 characters worth of that, but that's the official update. So assuming neither contracted COVID, it's Friday for Embiid and Saturday for Simmons. By the way, I don't think Adam Silver's incentives are at all aligned financially to have one team's superstars sit out versus the Utah Jazz. I just don't think that's how it works. If you want to predict how someone's going to act, just look at what their incentives are, and the process sort of punishment, that was all about money, and there's no financial incentive for Adam Silver to force the 76ers to play without their superstars. It's just not how their incentives are aligned.
Yeah, I would agree. I just don't. People want to think Adam Silver did something wrong. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think it was just a protocol. They got to follow it. There are other reasons to get mad at Adam Silver. Saying that he screwed the Sixers over, I don't think is a valid reason.
Yeah, I entirely agree with that. I again, just don't think of people as heroes and villains. Think of people as acting in accordance to their interests, and his interests are to have as many superstars playing on TV as many nights as he can and selling as many jerseys while he can't put butts in the seats. There's no incentive for him to make the 76ers a huge market team play without their stars versus the Utah Jazz. Just not. Just like the Jazz are silly for thinking that they're put upon and victims. They probably have a better case than Philly fans thinking they're victims, quite frankly.
Jason, are you going to get that check mark next to your name once it comes out?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure my incentives are aligned with that.
What's your question?
I was almost weaned off of Twitter before somebody on one of these streams told me they wanted me to tweet more, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice.
I'd rather just come in here and just ramble. All right, so here's a question from Aram. How many hours per day does an NBA player work out? And it does vary. There are official team activities. There are organized activities. There are availabilities where you can work with development coaches on the side. And then they all have badge reader access. They can go into that practice facility and work as much as they want. Now, they're given a routine so that they don't overload themselves. In fact, I think Danny Green talked about Dwight Howard last year, where the Lakers actually had to restrict how much he worked out because he was grinding himself down. But you'll see, I think Embiid over the summer, they talked about him being at the facility 3 times a day. I think Tobias Harris says he's there 3 times a day. Then you have some players who will go there at 3:30 a.m. I can't think of who that player might be, but at 3:30 a.m. they'll go and practice because they don't want everybody to know how hard they work. But it really does vary. There's and there is some critique on some stars when they only go to team mandated organized activities. There has been some critique of that as well. So it varies. But they have a lot of off days in the middle of the season. In fact, they're going to practice tomorrow for the first time in a few weeks, as far as I recall. Is that right, Austin?
That seems about right. Yeah, I mean, look, they have their off days after every game, and then they have their travel days when they have a road game. And they really haven't had more than a day off in between games in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I mean, based on those patterns, yeah. I mean, I don't know for a fact. I don't know what information gets texted to you that I'm not part of that chain, but I can only assume that sounds about right.
Yeah. So Anthony says,
beer is that called?
It's a Guinness.
Oh, okay.
No, scratch that from the record. I'm not giving any free advertisement.
Also okay.
It is a generic Irish stout.
Jason, go retweet the stream.
Am I tagged in it?
It's just on the painted line. Just go retweet it. You got to tweet more, Jason. Come on.
All right. So the good news, according to Anthony here, is that Ben and Joe are getting their haircut together. Well, looks like they got their haircut by the same barber, but reading between the lines, the way that this is worded, it looks like they got their haircut on successive days. So they weren't in the barbershop together. Yeah, so
that would not make any sense if they were in the barbershop together and one of them was coming after. It just wouldn't make any sense.
Thanks, Justin. We got it.
You're welcome. For people
now,
who
in the bubble, there was an assigned barber, set of barbers. That doesn't look like this situation. I think it's a good call out by Anthony because I sort of had the same thought that they didn't have to have the same barber. They're not in the bubble, and it looked like it happened in Philadelphia. So I think it's a good thought. It just doesn't seem to have been correct. All right, let's see. What else we got here?
Certainly get the narratives.
Yeah. Chances we can win without Joel and Ben. We can't beat the Cavs without one or the other. The Cavs are weird. They're a weird matchup. They're playing the Spurs Thursday, right?
Yeah. I think the Spurs could be.
No, they play the Spurs Sunday. They play the Bulls Thursday. Sixers.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
Bulls, then back-to-back with the Wizards on Friday, off Saturday. Spurs Sunday.
I feel like the Bulls could be a legitimate matchup. You could still win without those two because you still have Harris and you still have a good defender. You still have good defenders at the guard spots, and it's not like anybody besides Levine is gonna kill you. Realistically, I mean, Kobe White's good. You have good players on the team, but I think Matisse Thybulle and Levine to slow him down a little bit, and you just kind of let everyone else play. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Levine's probably going to go for a big night.
40.
Yeah, it's probably a big night for Levine.
I think
Kobe
Thybulle's
White.
gonna let him go 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's good enough that if
very
you
good
leave one
basketball
guy
player.
on him all night,
You guys are both talking at the same time.
I'll let Jason go first because he's the boss.
no, you're in the bottom. You go first.
You've lost my focus on watching Sports Center. Go ahead.
So you're showing up late and not focused.
I was about to say the same thing.
That's it. You put up in the right.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, look, the Zach Levine's gonna go off. I mean, Thybulle's a great defender, but Zach Levine's also a very good offensive player. I have a feeling they're gonna win one of these two games without everybody and surprise people. But we'll see. I don't think it helps that they have to go to play the Wizards on Friday, and you just know that they're going to be running that drop coverage. So,
well, we don't know that Embiid's out Friday.
True. This is true.
Yeah,
this is true.
So it's 2 games without Ben, pretty clearly, but 1 plus a questionable. Yeah, watching Sports Center on mute. Is there don't get me started on Sports Center. All right, let's see what other questions do we have? We have all kinds of questions. So
this is something actually I want to share my screen.
I'm so glad. By the way, can we just have a conversation about Dave on FX? How good that show is. Have you guys watched it?
I have no idea what that is.
It's
You have to watch it.
So
does anyone know who Piers Morgan is, by the way?
Forget Piers Morgan. Please stop. Please.
I don't know who that is.
Dave. So Fave here. Fave has Little Dicky as his icon. He has a TV show which is awesome on the FX network. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. Dave on FX, Little Decky, Philly guy, Sixers fan, into the games. It is a hilarious show. And by that I mean it's a comedy, Austin. So it'll be like you'll recognize it as funny while you don't laugh. But you'll say, oh, that's a comedy. I see.
Yes.
I recognize that as a comedy.
I am a robot.
It's really a fantastic show.
I just drink gasoline. I don't actually eat anything.
All right.
So I want to talk about the trade stuff and the two of the biggest guys that have been in talks and 2 of the biggest guys the fan bases have been talking about are Nemanja Bjelica and PJ Tucker. So I feel like it'd be good to compare those 2 players and really see who people would rather have on this team and realistically what they had to give up for either of those players.
It's pronounced Bjelica.
What did he say?
I said Bjelica.
Bjelica.
Yeah. So it's Bjelica.
Bjelica.
Isn't that what I said?
No.
Yeah, it is.
All right, whatever, Austin.
Wow.
All right.
That's it. Austin. You're getting bumped down to the bottom. This way you get covered up by any comments.
No, see, the fun part is getting covered up by comments. Austin, you just can grab it, just put your hands over it, and just.
That's the phonetic pronunciation.
Hey, by the way, I'm in Connecticut while I'm recommending stuff. Have either of you been to New Haven and had Frank Pepe's Pizza? It's like the oldest pizza shop in the country. Amazing.
I haven't been to many places.
You got to go to places.
I want to. That's the goal. But on topic. So for Jason, who would out of these two? Actually, first of all, let's go through the statistics here. So overall, PJ and Nemanja, I believe, are both they're both in the lineups at this point. Bielitz, I'm not saying his last name. Nemanja, for a while early in the season was not in the Kings lineup. Now I believe he is. I'm assuming to bump up his trade value because he was shooting awful in the beginning of the season, and obviously has gone up a little bit. But overall, what are your guys' thoughts? Who would you rather have on this team?
Go ahead, Austin.
I think the better fit is Bielitsa. I mean, Jason, I think, pulled up his shot chart when we talked about it recently. I mean, he can basically hit from all over the floor, whereas PJ is basically confined to the corners. So he doesn't really give you a lot of versatility on the perimeter. Having said that, I think if you're looking at how do we acquire a game-changing guard, Kyle Lowry, I think they're very in on, and the way that you would address both needs is you get Tucker, you pay the price for Tucker, whatever that may be, like a second-round pick or whatever, and then you go get Kyle Lowry. I think if you get Bielitsa, it's you're probably not going to get Kyle Lowry.
So yeah, here are where he's getting his shots off and his percentages for his shots so far this season. So I mean, recently he's been playing better recently. Says in his last 5 performances, he shot 53%. Obviously, that's good. But overall, it seems like he's been inconsistent this year in comparison to others. And he's shooting best from the corner. I think the Sixers, what they need more than anything else is that hash area 3 rather than the corner, because I think we have guys that can hit corner shots. I think it's more finding guys that can be consistent from that hash mark. What are your guys' thoughts? Jason?
Yeah, so I mean, Bielitsa is much bigger, but Tucker is a much stouter defender. So even though he's 6'5", he's got a bit of that Kyle Lowry where he can just low center of gravity, plant his feet, and just be a really tough inside defender.
Yeah.
It really comes down to where they think their shots are going to come from and where are the threes that they really want to knock down going to come from? Are they above the break? If so, Bielitsa is the better choice. If not, if it's the corners, then I think Tucker is probably the better choice. Defensively, Tucker is the better choice. I think there is a universe where they can get both of them because Bielitsa's salary, I believe, fits in the trade exception. I think we checked that the other night. I can check it again. So they can use the trade exception for Bielitsa and Tucker. I think they can make. I'll have to look at Tucker's salary, but
they're making about the same. I think Tucker's making 9. I think Bielitsa's making 8.
So Tucker wouldn't fit if he's making. Let me look at his salary.
It's close. It's around what I just said, but
but the trade exception is is a very specific number, and it can't be $1 more. You can't add another player to make it work. No. So no, they both work. PJ Tucker is making 7.9.
Got you.
So I think they both work with the trade exception, but if they one of them gets bought out, I think you can make a case to get both of them, one through the trade exception and one in the buyout market, if you put the package together for Kyle Lowry. I think the Lowry conversation is. I don't think these two are mutually exclusive. I think because you're going to consolidate contracts, when you get Lowry, probably 3 to 4 players into one, assuming it's Lowry. Then you're going to create minutes off the bench. and I think both of these guys could be good fits. But somebody brings up a Paul Reed, and quite frankly, I think he's made it an interesting. His ability to shoot from three has, to me, changed the equation on Paul Reed.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up his G League stats real quick.
6 weeks. What's that?
I'm going to bring up his G League stats quick, so keep talking.
Yeah, so, I mean, 6 weeks ago, I thought of Paul Reed as a raw sort of project that would take 2 or 3 years.
And he kind of is still. Like that's kind of what makes you think, like, this kid has a lot of potential.
He does, but his ability to put the ball on the floor, to change the directions, and to shoot from three is far beyond what I saw from him in preseason. I mean, the guy he's got a hell of a lot of confidence. The three of us were on a call with him, and I mean, go ahead, Justin.
What's up?
Called my ass out to Paul Reed. He was like, what do you think my most underrated?
No, I thought it was great. I thought I thought that was a really good exchange between the two of you. I thought Justin, I think you had a great question as well. I think he said to you, Justin, that he better be doing this in the G League because he expects to do this in the NBA.
That was a great quote.
Yeah. And then,
no, I definitely
Austin,
agree.
you know
how much that gained a lot of traction on Twitter, by the way, that quote.
I mean, a guy that feels that way has a chance.
Yep.
You don't have a chance if you don't feel that way. There's very few players that don't. There's a lot of players that won't say that, but it's hard to make it to the NBA and stick if you don't feel that. And good for him for saying it.
Yeah, something I want to talk about with Paul Reed quick too is just because I have watched every single game, the whole game of each of him playing, and the only thing that kind of concerns me about him, or there's a few things about him going into the NBA, is his size a little bit at the position he plays. So right now for the Blue Coats, he's been playing center, and mind you, he's been killing it down there. He's got really good footwork. He's shown that he can power through contact at times, but my concern is at the upper level, he's not really going to be able to play center as well as he is down in the G League. And I've already seen that when he has gone up against teams in the G League with big teams going up against him. So they have him playing like a 5, but he's more of a 4.
It's like a Celtics 5, where they play that sort of amoeba defense.
But the problem is he's getting a lot of his points. Like the big parts of his averages are from the paint, not from shooting and not from like pick and pops and stuff like that. A big part of his points are from when he's going up against the smaller lineups. So it's so that's a bit of a concern. Now I think he's a great runner. He's a great, like, if he was playing that small ball 5 like role for us, I think he'd be good at it. I wonder how they would use him as much.
And does Doc for this year, we're talking about Bielitsa and we're talking about PJ Tucker, for this year's playoff run, is Doc ready to say, I've seen enough, 15 games, 16 games of Paul Reed, put him in the playoff rotation? Probably not. So I think he's a guy that is a fantastic asset for the organization, really exciting developmental prospect, and has passed every test. So Mike D brings up here last year's Rockets small ball. Look, if you look at the Blue Coats, to me, it screams more Daryl Morey fingerprints. It's built. They say they run the same stuff as the Sixers, but they're built like the Rockets of last year. They're not at all built the way that the Sixers are, because there really is no G League talent like a Ben Simmons or a Joel Embiid that you structure a team like.
I would actually say they do at times go to Paul Reed like he's Joel. Like they do at times where they give it to him in the paint, they let him work it, or on a trailing 3, like he'll be trailing behind the offense and hit a 3 like that. he's done a lot of off ball screening and popping out on the corners, and I do see Joel do that. So I do see similarities in the sense of how they're trying to use him in that way.
So Aram says he shoots 44% from three. Why can't he be a power forward? I don't. I think it's mostly as a trailer, and it's all above the break so far. So he's not. He doesn't look. His shot is a lot better than I expected. I think his shot is a lot better than it was 3 months ago. But again, if your shots, again, where are the threes that you're going to create for your team in the playoffs? If those threes are in the corner, he's not a guy that's going to sprint to the corner and knock down catch and shoot threes off of a Ben Simmons pass. That's not anything I've seen from him so far. Have you, Justin? Am I missing corner threes from Paul Reed?
Sorry, Paul Reed just went live on Instagram, so I was trying to see if he was going to say anything before the playoff game.
Let's just share our screen and let's.
That's Justin. That's good reporting. That's good reporting. You're starting to pick it up.
Look at you.
Oh, this is. See, here's the thing. Oh.
This shit.
The-
This guy's good.
Yeah, he was on with you. You didn't even know it.
He's updating his Wikipedia.
Crazy, bro. I already do it though. A lot of motherfuckers, bro.
Okay, they're cursing a lot. I'm gonna turn that off. There's no, Austin. Believe it or not, this is stuff that I've been doing stuff like this before reporting. So like that's why this like to me I feel like it's like it doesn't feel like work. It feels like it's stuff that I was doing before anyway. Like I was always waiting for the press conferences to come out the next morning on YouTube anyway. So now I'm just watching them live rather than waiting for them to come out. So.
Mike D says, I don't know if Blue Coats fans would want to take him away from the G League playoffs. I mean, the G League playoffs are over Thursday night, regardless. The final game is Thursday night, so I don't think there's a big conflict. If they win tonight, they play in the final on Thursday. So he's obviously not going to play in Philadelphia on Thursday. John the shot doctor says he has a low release. I do agree with that. I think it's I don't think it's a high release, but it's
actually gotten higher, believe it or not.
It has, and it's pretty quick. Yeah. It's quicker than 3 months ago. So
here, you know what I'll do? I'll bring up some stuff from my Twitter. But his shot actually doesn't look as hitchy as it did when, like I said, when he first came in. You could tell they've worked on it a little bit, or at least he's worked on a bit. And over the off season, I watched some videos on YouTube of him and his trainer, and they were working on it pretty consistently on trying to get that changed. So here's sorry.
I'll tell you, I think Paul's jump shot, it's a lot smoother than I thought it would be. But I also feel like he has to be in rhythm first. Like I whenever there's certain players I can just tell don't take corner threes without even seeing it. Like for example, guy like Paul Reed, I just don't see him taking corner threes because he has a pretty tremendous load, and his load makes like he just doesn't. There's no situation where he'd be able to just catch and shoot a corner three, and it wouldn't be long. I feel like. I mean, when you look at that load he has from the top. It's like
and he brings the ball way down.
Yes.
There's a lot to improve, but his touch, like Austin, your question the other night about his touch, I think his feel is what is converting a lot of those looks into makes. Yep. Because once he gets it above his shoulders, he's just got that sort of wrist out touch and feel. And it's translated into makes. And I don't think when we saw this in preseason, I don't think any of us projected him as much of a shooter. But the guy's putting in the work and he's making these shots. And he's making he got Justin, to your point about bigs going against true bigs. He got forced into like a terrible sort of falling out of bounds off the glass terrible shot, and it went off the glass and in. It just shows the touch that he's got. His jumper does look like Al Horford's jumper. Absolutely right. That is a great comparison. It is very important.
So also,
hey, listen, if Paul Reed becomes Al Horford.
First of all, for you shooters out there, notice how Paul Reed kept his guide hand up and he kept the shooting arm outstretched. He held the follow through. Not something you see too often these days, but Paul did a really good job of doing it on that last shot that you just saw. But the Horford comparison, Horford kind of had the elbow out to the side a little bit. It was a little bit of like a longer load up to the top of the shot, and the hand was kind of off to the side a little bit. Paul's is a little more straight, vertical, and a little more fluid. But yeah, they're kind of similar.
Now tell me this little step back doesn't remind you of KD.
A little bit.
A little KD.
Are you saying the Sixers drafted Paul Durant with the
I'm saying they drafted Paul, Al Horford, Kevin Durant, Reed. That's all. I'm just comparing them to Al Horford and Kevin Durant. No, but I think that whoever brought up the Al Horford release, Mike D, I think I think there's some validity to that, and that's sort of like the projection. If you're going to say, what kind of shooter can he be, that would be a really fantastic outcome at the NBA level. We have the perpetual motion, perpetual positivity machine here. Mr. Crockpot, the gang's all here. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah,
What's
man.
up, guys?
Talking Paul Reed, we're talking trade deadline. We talked Embiid and Simmons being out till Friday at least.
Uncle Christopher, I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a while, guys. Like, I feel like I've been just soaking up the MCU content lately, but here we are. I'm ready for this second half, even though the NBA is screwing the Sixers again. Give me a freaking break here. But here we go. So I'm excited for the second half. I love these Paul Reed highlights, man. Well done, Justin, by the way.
Appreciate it.
He's an interesting player. I have been more in and out with Dwight Howard than any other player on the Sixers this season. How many times have we talked on the post-game show and the watch party? Oh, Paul Reed, bring him up over Dwight Howard, blah, blah, blah. Dwight Howard looks good, then he looks bad. Then he looks good, then he looks bad. Now he looks good. Over the last few games, he's looked pretty good. But I'm excited with this Paul Reed character, man. I love the way he works it in transition. I love the way the Blue Coats play. It's all about pace and space. They're top 5 in 3-point shooting and pace. They're surprisingly good defensively. Love me some Blue Coats, man. I'm happy for these guys.
Yeah, they're fun to watch.
Let me ask you this. What do you think the likelihood is that Kyle Lowry gets traded to the team?
Is that your Villanova bias or what? Like how much do you Sixers wise want Kyle Lowry versus you being a Nova guy? Come on, man. What is it?
Honestly, I didn't even like.
Yeah, you're too young, even.
Yeah, I really didn't even know Kyle back in his heyday. I actually went to camp with his cousin, which is a kind of a connection, I guess, there. But no, I mean, I think he's just a really good fit for the Sixers, and I think he's reasonably priced, given that he's going to be expiring and that they have Fred VanVleet.
Go on, explain how he is a good fit.
Because he's a high volume, 40% 3-point shooter, can handle the ball, can facilitate pick and roll, and those are guys who be on the floor. Can handle a crunch time offense, is a really good defender. Won a championship. What else can I say? The guy pays his taxes. It's tremendous.
Sold his house in Toronto.
I'm on team not Kyle Lowry, even though I would not be upset at the move one bit. I'm more along the lines of just bring in solid shooters. Even though Kyle Lowry is a very good shooter from 3 this year, I think he's 40+% from 3. You put good shooters around the Sixers. Watch Ben and Joel dominate. Watch Tobias Harris dominate. And I don't know if Kyle, you have to make this massive move all in right now for Kyle Lowry. I go back and forth with it like literally every day. Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, which one do you want to give up? It's a really hard question to answer, and I'm just glad I'm not the one making it. It's a very challenging question, even though like Lowry would be like hands down a Philly favorite. Now that they're allowing fans in the stands, Lowry's making offensive fouls and pumping up the crowd is a perfect fit, especially if you get home court advantage. He's going to be a huge. Remember how much we loved Ersan Ilyasova because of that? Kyle Lowry does the same thing. He's that pesky defender. He's like the hate the face guy. That the same reason why we hate Marcus Smart, but I would love him in a Sixers uniform. Kyle Lowry's that same ilk.
Real quick.
So it sounds like you just talked yourself into him. But one thing I will say,
really quick, Jason. Important point here. That's actually not the case. If you trade for him, you get his bird rights, and that's when you can re-sign him. If you wait for the offseason and try to sign him, it doesn't work because you don't have the cap space.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that is a good point. I don't know at his age how much time he's got. I don't know what a contract looks.
Sorry,
I don't know what a contract looks like. But what I will say is, when you look at this, at these shot locations, what I like about this is there's no inherent conflict with Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. That spot sort of above the break in the corner on the left side and above the break on the left side are exactly where Embiid's low block kickouts are and his two-man game DHO stuff. That's where he creates those shots. That left corner is exactly where Ben Simmons' preferred outlet is. So there's no conflict here in his shot locations. So I think, when we look at just pure, what he's shooting from three, I think we have to go just scratch one level below that and say, where does he like to take those shots? And are those the spots? Just like we talked about with Bjelica and with Tucker, are those the spots that the Sixers tend to create shots? And I see that 46.2 in the left corner, at 46.8 above the break on the left side, and obviously top of the key, top of the arc, 40%. Those are all spots that the Sixers actually really do create. Specifically, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid do create shots for other people. So
the main question here is, how do you plan to beat Brooklyn? Do you plan on just blitzing and trying to score as many points as possible? Do you plan on bringing in guys that can actually blitz, ice the ball screener, and hedge and defend the pick and roll, which has been the Achilles heel of the Philadelphia 76ers for years? You look at Durant, Irving, and Harden. These are three guys. You look at how the Sixers struggled to defend pick and roll guards like Chris Paul, and they have not been able to figure that out in a long time. They're bringing in guys that can beat you off the dribble, get in the paint, and finish at will. Does Kyrie Lowry solve that issue? I don't know.
Who's Kyrie Lowry?
But I think you just did a Freudian slip, because that's really the matchup you're saying. Is Lowry's sort of stout physicality create a problem for in a 7-game series, wear down Kyrie? Is he, he's got a similar body type to James Harden. Can he give James Harden problems? But he might be a really good chess piece in the Brooklyn matchup. Just because he might really give Kyrie Irving some problems. Because Kyrie's really the one that's going to kill you in the last 2 minutes. All three of them will, but if you can wear him down throughout the course of the game and throughout the course of a series, maybe that that final second shot to win the game is just short. So Lowry's physical strength and his physical stoutness, I think, is a weapon that they can use to wear down opposing guards in a playoff series. Taking Kyrie, and I know Kyrie likes to talk about how he will post up other guards. He's not posting up Kyle Lowry. He's not taking him into the post. But Kyle Lowry will take him down to the woodshed and post him up, which will wear him down. So, just like you, Chris, I think I talked myself into Kyle Lowry and out of Kyle Lowry basically every other conversation. Yesterday I was out. Today I'm talking myself in.
Kyrie Irving has beaten Kyle Lowry 6 out of 8 games in the playoffs. Pretty even in the regular season. 15 out of 26 games to Kyle Lowry or to Kyrie Irving. My God, why do I keep saying Lowry? I don't know. But anyway, I'm all over the place. I just got done doing a pod. 21 points.
I was thinking you just hope that like Kyle will just beat the Nets by himself, just do 1-on-5.
Well, I just got done doing a movie pod, so I think I've got like Bad Boys in my head. I'm going like Mike Lowry or something like that. Here we are.
So Mike D is killing it tonight with the comments because I agree with most of them. This is a legitimate weapon though. In a big butt in the NBA is actually a legitimate weapon. And I listened to, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but Charles Barkley, I listened to today on the drive up, was on, speaking of big butts, he was on the, he was on a podcast. He's a delight. And he used that butt of his as a real weapon in the NBA. And Lowry has as well.
Justin just Googled Kyle Lowry butt highlights.
Oh, definitely. This is just highlights from last season. So people, I mean, this is not obviously the best highlight. I don't know why they're showing this 3 or 4 times. I don't need to see that. But this
Justin
is just
single-handedly making sure we get DMCA'd for this.
You should be fine. It's NBA, right?
Monetization is turned off.
Is this NBA.com highlights, Justin?
I got it off YouTube. I don't know.
All right, so we should be okay.
Well, I am not the one who messed up this time, so I'm living with that. I'm good.
Who's messed up? Did I mess it up? Is that what's happening now? Should I turn this off? I can turn it off.
It's too late. It's either done or not done. Lowry, we'll find out for next time whether we can continue.
Justin, when we no longer have a website in like 2 weeks, you'll know why.
Lowry is just too expensive and will cost too much anyway in picks. Yeah, I think that's the big question is what is the market as far as assets to get him? Because I think the Sixers can match the salary by packaging a bunch of pieces, but I think Thibault has to be in that to make it work. Last I checked. The question is, if you're going to include Thibault, then what additional draft assets would you have to give up? And that's probably why it hasn't already happened, right? Because I think that's. But who else in the league is? Where's their buzz around Kyle Lowry going to any other team? I haven't heard any.
I
haven't heard any either.
Miami.
Miami. So how does Miami make the money work?
You don't. It's Miami. You just go.
Yeah. So the money has to work on a trade. So in order for Toronto to get a significant package in return, there have to be 2 bidders, right? So this might just be a waiting game while Toronto tries to find another bidder for Lowry to drive the price up for Philly.
Jason, you keep distracting them. I'll pull up the trade machine.
That's the question, right? That's the question is, do you make the play to go all in now or look down the road to maybe see Maxey's trade value increase next season? And all that. Like Matisse Thybulle has been kind of like an unsung hero for the Sixers over the last month and a half or so defensively. Shooting isn't quite there yet, but you talk about his deflections per 36. You talk about just everything he has brought in that zone defense. Not saying that they could even possibly run that against teams like the Brooklyn Nets or teams that really shoot the ball well. But that is the question: is that the only play for the Sixers, or are there better options moving forward? And do the Sixers have to win now? I remember myself convincing myself that I was looking more so like trade out Horford, take a couple steps back this year, and then we make our run the year after that. So it's a major question. I have no answers for that, but I'll be truthfully here.
So
I'm comfortable with.
I don't think Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey are wired to trust the process. I just don't think they are.
I agree.
And funny, it's I was about to say something similar to what Jason just said. Is that Daryl said this in press? What?
No, nothing. I was the trade machine. Yeah, it's going to be really, 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 really hard for the Heat to do it. I mean, you could I guess give up.
Dragic would have to be involved, right?
Probably, yeah. And at that point, you're kind of like, are you really getting return worth taking? They just don't have any assets that are in the middle.
I would say, yeah, you could get return for that if you plan on signing him back. Because obviously, Dragic's on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
If you think you want Kyle after that, then you have his bird right, so you're capable of signing him back. So you're getting ultimately more than you would have gotten out of the Dragic contract. But
Dragic has a player option, which you could decline or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it really could be of benefit for the Heat, but whoever gets him, you're going to give up at least a pick, maybe with some light protections on it, but you're going to give up enough where you don't feel comfortable letting him walk away for nothing in this offseason at the 6 month rental.
Why would the Heat? Let's just be real. Why would the Heat want this deal?
Because Heat culture, Heat Nation.
Does he wake up at 3 a.m. in the mornings and will be a nice buddy for my boy Jimmy Butler?
In all reality, I think in all reality, not just the meme talk. I think it helps their defense. I think it does, and that is not an ad that I am running on this. Hell no.
God, Falcon the Winter Soldier, let's go.
I swear to God, you are so fired after this is over.
No, but I think another big reason why he would fit well with Miami is defensively, because of they don't have a lot of guard defense down there realistically. You look at their it's all offense. You got Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Goran Dragic. None of them are hard-nosed defenders. So I think adding a Kyle Lowry for them is really good. It's just like you said, it's tough to make out, and it's tough to sit there and say, okay, this makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to think about it from the Toronto standpoint. Toronto's got a pretty damn good team, and they got a nice G League program that is sending them talent. So who on the Heat roster makes sense for Toronto? I try to look at
Precious Achua.
Hold on. Who on the Heat roster? You're saying Precious?
Precious, you could do some picks. I mean, they're going to have to include the Dragic contract. There's not one big money grab there that the Heat have that fits perfectly. So you're going to have to.
What's Iguodala making right now?
I think it's 7.5 per year. No, maybe it's 15. I think it's 15.
That's what I'm pretty sure he's making some decent things.
Yeah, he stole money from the Heat.
No, he didn't though. What he did is create a tradable cap slot for the Heat. So I think it actually is really good to overpay when you can to make it in that range to create trade options for yourself later on.
So the Heat could go. Let's say they go
can we just talk about look? I'm looking at the comments. All of the comments are talking about is big butts. They like big butts and they cannot lie. Like the comments, they just.
It's because we still got Kyle
just
Lowry
can't-
on the screen here. We
they
got
cannot
Kyle
lie.
Lowry around here with the big booty.
They're still talking about that. Look, Mahorn, Barkley, those
Sir Mix a
two.
Lot.
I mean,
Sir Mix a Lot is not sponsoring this podcast.
yeah. Only if he's 6'3". Kyle Lowry. All right. That one didn't work. George Hill, guys, thoughts on George Hill?
I like the idea a lot.
This is where I like these ideas of building the bench with pieces, and building around. I think the Sixers starting lineup is fine. Although the Danny Green photos from today do not suggest otherwise. He looks like he's checked out and ready to go. But I like the Sixers starting lineup. I understand the concept of finding a replacement, moving or an upgrade and moving like Seth to the bench. And that way it would really severely upgrade your bench. But I do like these pieces here that Diverse Conscious brought up that would really upgrade the bench in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so you brought up the Danny Green stuff, right? So are you a body language guy? Like, do you read the tea
I
leaves?
read all the tea leaves. I read all the tea leaves, baby.
So, I mean, his demeanor, let's say, since he was acquired, is consistent with a guy who expected to be traded by the trade deadline. Correct?
The dog is going crazy.
100%.
I mean, to make any of these other big deals work, Danny Green has to be included. It's the only way to make the money work on any of the larger moves, right? The only way to make the money work for a Levine or a Lowry or who am I missing? Who are the other big targets?
LeBron James.
Beal, right? LeBron.
LeBron James.
We'll trade you straight up.
The only way to make it work is with Danny Green. So I don't think it's a shock that he hasn't fully embraced the city of Philadelphia or the embrace the moment and the potential with this team. In his availabilities, he doesn't ooze like I can't wait to get to the playoffs with this team. He gives a very professional soldier for hire type vibe that JJ
It's a lot. It's a lot of that. Like, oh, I'm a mentor. Like, I'm teaching the young guys. Like, what?
I haven't gotten a lot of that. I've gotten a lot of the JJ
definitely
Redick
said
vibe.
that. He said that. He said it in also not only I've seen it in interviews, but also on his own personal podcast. He's talked about how like what his role is with this team and how a big part of it and something he really wants to do is mentoring these young guys, showing them the ropes and showing them what to do. So I mean, that's where he said the other day, I posted up on Twitter like a little clip of it about him saying how he loves it. He loves Toronto. He loves their organization. And if it's the best move for the team, then he's got to make do with what he's got to make do. And like, to me, that's like says a lot. Like that he sits there and is like comfortable with it. Like doesn't say like he was basically like
He got his bag.
Yeah, I think Justin, that was a really good catch on your part. And so here's the thing. Yes, but I am not. There are times where these guys, and we meet with them a lot, right?
Every other day.
Will say the right thing, and then they'll say, and then you can sense a genuine, like, no, I really mean this. It's the second part that I don't get. I don't get the warm and fuzzies that he wants to, that he's, I would bet he signed a lease and is not shopping for a home in the Philadelphia market. That's just my opinion.
For sure.
I have not picked that up. I didn't know this quote or comment by Dominique Brown. He said they instead of we or us several times. Is that true, Jay?
I haven't caught that, but I mean, it's consistent with the general demeanor, I think. Again, I just relate it to JJ Redick. JJ Redick was here for 2 years, but it was always I'm an NBA professional.
Mercenary.
I'm here to make money. I'm a professional. I have my career, versus gee whiz, I can't believe I'm surrounded by this great group of guys.
Did I miss the Isaiah Joe talk from Justin and Austin? And did you guys touch on
We
that?
haven't really talked much. I mean, we touched on it a little bit early, but not much. We talked about Paul Reed earlier, but I think you were here for that.
Guys,
Actually, no, you weren't.
I gotta head out. I gotta pick up dinner for my family.
Wow, late and heading out early.
You ruined it, Austin. You ruined the pod.
Hey, Austin, do you want to give some personal news? Did you make a decision?
I have not made a decision. I do have an opportunity to potentially join Clutch Points as a paid full-time writer. So we'll see. I have to have some discussions with some people. If I do decide to do it, that would probably mean that I will no longer be writing for the Painted Lines. However, I would still like to partake in the podcasts and stay part of the family if possible in some way.
Only if you can show up on time. But I think it says a lot about the program that we've got here, the talent pipeline that we're developing.
Yeah.
So if
Well-deserved.
Austin takes on, Austin is widely regarded as the best writer at TPL, best sports writer. And I think we'll all be really happy to see him if he decides to go. I'll be heartbroken when I get the fuck.
Austin, can you make like an announcement video?
Sixers PR and they revoke your credential? That'll suck, but
so Clutch Points told me that I would be getting credentialed. So.
Yeah, awesome. I'm joking, but look, we're very excited to do
Austin,
it.
can you do like a reveal video where like you like pop a balloon and it like comes out like blue or red or something like that?
Pop on my shirt, taking my talents to Clutch Points.
And honestly, and everybody knows that I'm a little bit. I don't like being used as a stepping stone. I am like highly aware of that. But Austin, you've been rocking with us for 3 years ish, and you've always represented us strongly. You've always been a good teammate.
Well, hold on, I haven't decided yet. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I know. This is my way of getting you out while making you think it's your idea. But no, you've been a fantastic teammate. You really have been. You have considered this part of a team, and that's important to me. It is.
Could not have gotten this far without you guys. I appreciate it, but this is not a goodbye. I am not choked up.
I mean, if you take the job, you're never coming on this podcast again.
That is just not true.
I'm gonna like close all links as of like exactly on time. It'll just guarantee you're never able.
These are false reports. I will not be partaking in these false reports from the Painted Lines. This is not true. We do not know yet.
These are tainted lines reports.
We will see. I have to talk.
I'm replacing you with Vin Fosh.
Jesus Christ.
We're just letting you know.
Oh my God. We appreciate you, Diverse Conscious. Again, I have not made a decision yet. It'll depend on a couple of factors, and we'll see. I might very well be. Oh my God! All right, goodbye. Goodbye.
All right, he's gone.
That was a great way to go out too. No, we're really happy for Austin. He really does.
100%.
He's rocked with the highs and the lows. I give him a hard time when he shows up a little bit late, or chews ice on a stream. But
message us at the Painted Lines on Twitter, John, and we'll be in touch. And Mike D says you're finished. That was like a Mortal Kombat like finishing move, like finish him. And then JB's like, flawless victory.
My goodness.
So,
So, sorry, this is like a random going back to this real quick, but this is what we were talking with Danny Green before, and this is here. I'll turn. See, can you guys hear that?
Yep.
Had to do with Kyle Lowry.
turn up.
You must have seen it because it got
Turn it up?
popular.
Yep.
How did you take
I don't think
it,
I can.
And what are your thoughts?
I think Caleb was a great teammate, great player.
That's it.
I think he'd be a great addition to any team. And when I saw it, I thought, if he can come here and I can stay, amazing, play with him again. But I also saw that if he had to come here, then I would go. And I thought, damn. So it's just rumors talking, and I don't believe anything until anything comes across my desk. Is from my agent or from the front office. But yeah, I obviously love playing for every team I've played for so far. We've had a great season. I think we have a good team and great pieces. I'll say it's up to them. I think there's still time before the deadline, right? Before they can make a move.
March 25th, I believe it is.
So they have time. If the front office feels like they can make the team better by doing that, I obviously love playing in Toronto. Even though I'm not playing in Toronto right now, but I know that organization. So if it happens, so be it. And I make the best of whatever situation I'm in.
So that was Danny Green on his podcast talking about the possibility of being traded there. The thing that I found interesting is obviously he was given love to Kyle Lowry and it saying he's a good player and I would love to play with him, but it's looking like that if it were to happen, we would not be playing together.
Yeah, there's no way that it would happen.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can get Lowry without giving up Danny Green.
This is interesting. Danny is the good luck guy. Where he goes, the trophy goes.
I don't believe in that.
Not anymore. Not anymore. He's a different player now.
It should be more like where Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant goes. Where the trophy goes.
I mean, Danny Green does have 2 in a row.
But he also played with Kawhi Leonard and then LeBron James. So, and played a completely decimated Warriors team in the playoffs with the Raptors.
Yeah.
So,
Danny Green, man, just you look at the last several games. He has games of his offensive rating 51, then 96, then 67, then 97, then 90, 77, and 53. Man, you're talking about games that shows his inconsistency that kills me. When Ben and Joel don't play, Danny Green gets exposed, and that's not a knock on Danny Green.
He's a good role player.
He's a role player, and people have way too high expectations for what this guy can do for your team. So do I think it's unfair? Absolutely. Do I like his fit next to Ben and Joel? Absolutely. I've always been team Danny Green. I do think he's a really good complementary piece with our main three. So it would suck to see him go, but I'm absolutely not close to an upgrade if that opportunity presents itself.
The year that he went to, I forget, he signed with the Raptors, correct? Did he sign with them or did he get traded with Kawhi over to them?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember. But either way, my point of what I'm saying is he, to me, was the one guy that I wanted in free agency. Danny was the guy that I wanted us to go out and get. Him and Seth Curry. Both of them were both players that I was okay, both of them are bench pieces in other teams, but they would be amazing in our starting lineup. And now we have both of them, and I'm just finally, goddamn it.
Yeah, I like Danny Green. His defense, I mean, you have to consider what we gave up to get Danny Green. I mean, that is step one. He was a throw-in to a terrible contract, and Danny Green kind of is what he is. I think we kind of overblow his impact on this team. I like what he does next to Ben and Joel and Tobias when they all three do play. But this guy clearly doesn't have it defensively anymore. You look at his tape, his feet aren't quick enough. He's constantly in bad positions. That's where I look at. He has games where he gets 4 steals, which is really, really fun, in really short bursts. I don't know if you picked that up, Justin. Sorry,
go ahead. I'll wait till you're finished.
No, I'm just saying, like, but overall, like he hasn't been that team defense guy that I want to see. But then again, when the Sixers starters are playing and they're healthy and they're showing some consistency, that's when I think we see the true identity of the Sixers, which is defense, especially in that fourth quarter and in clutch situations. And Danny Green's a huge part of that. We can't ignore that. And anyway, so it's another Kyle Lowry. Like, I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the one making that decision.
Yeah, and the thing I wanted to really say with Danny Green, sorry, Jason, real quick, because I just wanted to say this point, is that I don't necessarily think he's regressed a ton defensively. I think it's just against certain players. You see, and like you said, he'll have stints of getting a lot of steals or playing really good defense laterally against certain players. And it's the only people he struggles with are the quick point guards, and that's what you see. He struggles with the quick, smaller point guards, and that's just because he's 6'5", he's old, and he's slower laterally. But other than that, he can get up still. He's gotten some blocks this year already. He can get the rebounds. He can stick with people. He has quick hands still. It's just the small guys are the tough guys for him. And I think the other thing that shows those weaknesses even more now than it may have on another team when it comes to team defense is the fact that we're having him at times guard the point guards because Seth Curry is our 2. And our one is technically Ben Simmons, and they want to put him on a bigger player typically. So in matchups like, if say you want to talk about the Kings with De'Aaron Fox at times, where Danny could not stick him whatsoever, but you also had, oh my goodness, Ben trying to run around with the forwards as well. So I don't think this offense – I think Kyle Lowry would do a lot better defensively with the makeup of the Sixers team because Kyle is a better on-ball defender than Danny is. Danny's a better off-ball defender, in my opinion. So, I don't know, Jason, because I know you want to talk about it, but what are your thoughts on that? Because I personally think Danny's defensive liabilities at times is not necessarily because of his play, but because of the play of the team in general.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think one of the things we're missing so far in our discussion, we're focusing on Danny Green. I don't think any of the fans are going to pour one out for Danny Green. The question really becomes Toronto is going to want Matisse Thybulle or Tyrese Maxey. And do we believe that Matisse Thybulle can become Danny Green? Does a 28-year-old Matisse Thybulle fill out, settle his shooting form and become a Danny Green level player, a 31-year-old Danny Green type? And if so, then do you want that on your team in the next 2 or 3 years? To Chris's point, is that something you feel like you need on your team?
I think it's possible that it could become that. I really do. I think you've seen already defensively. I think he's better than Danny Green has ever been defensively. He's only in his second year, and I think that's more than obvious. I think if you disagree with that, you're crazy. I've watched a lot of Danny Green highlights and just stats, everything from when he was younger as well with the Spurs and played great defense. Matisse's head's above him. So I think already defensively you're getting more from him there. I think that there is going to be a difference in offense. He doesn't have as consistent of a shot right now. And based on how – what? I'm afraid of
that comment. No, that's true, man. That's 100% true.
Yeah, I think Matisse will eventually get better, and he definitely has the makeup too. He wants to get better. He's not content with sitting there being like, hey, defense is my thing, and that's what I'm going to be. He wants to be a complete player. And once again, Matisse was on a podcast with Danny, on Danny Green's podcast, talking about how Danny is literally the player that Matisse wants to be. He wants to model his game after Danny Green. Danny's been helping him with that apparently. So I think more than and Danny obviously players are going to give players on their team praise no matter what, typically. But Danny was giving him very higher praise than you needed to, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, because I think that is the archetype that he fills, is a Danny Green type role. So, by the way, Mike D, you're killing it today. It's always good to have a Beastie Boy, checking in with us. So you're killing it with the comments today. I'm loving everything you say. I agree. Matisse in a Raptors uniform is a scary prospect, for sure. And you got to think that if you're Toronto, you'd rather have, even though you want a backup point guard, so Maxey, you'd think, would be the guy. Man, Thibault fits what they do so well.
I can see that.
So let's talk about this.
Before you guys really dive into it, I already said most of my stuff about that, so I gotta hop off though. I told someone I'd call them and I completely forgot. And it's important, so I gotta get off. But I'm so glad that you let me come on here, Jason. Thank you. I don't know, it's usually Sixers mailbags are the beat reporters, so thanks. But so guys,
now that we got rid of Austin.
True. All right, guys. The G League, blah blah. I can't think now. The Bluecoats play at 9:15 against the Raptors 9:05. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that at some point, but look out for Paul Reed going up against, I believe, Elise Johnson is on that team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
And that's televised. National
ESPNU. It should be. So
Very nice.
I think. Yeah, because right now the Warriors and the Magic are playing on there. So yeah, ESPNU, go check it out. Should be a good game. Go on my Twitter if you want to see some highlights every once in a while, and the post-game press conference as well for quotes and stuff like that. So that's the Twitter.
That's the Twitter.
By the way, they pronounce it. They real quick. They still pronounce my name wrong, and but I understand why. It's because I haven't corrected them. But I feel so weird to be like, by the way, it's Persichetti. I get
Alex.
What's up? Yeah, well, Alex and whoever else has done it before, but it's always been like Persichetti. Like, I don't think anyone's ever gotten it right. Sometimes they'll just say Justin P, or they'll just say Justin, or they'll say Justin Persichetti. I'll meet Alex in person at some time, and I'll correct them.
It's like Lemony Persichetti, a series of unfortunate events.
I'm literally, here's my plan is literally
it's
like
a series of unfortunate events is what it is, really.
My plan at some point is whenever the stadium opens up again, and I'll go to the stadium and I'll just say, oh, by the way, Alex, my name is this. I felt weird saying it on Zoom call, so it's Persichetti. So it's whatever.
Mm.
Hopefully, at some point, I'll be a name in the Sixers organization. We'll see. We shall see.
You're putting in all the right types of work, so.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But have a good rest of the stream. I will talk to y'all later, okay?
Thanks, Justin.
All right. See you, boys.
What's up?
So somehow Austin texted me today asking if I can do a mailbag, and now it's just you and I.
And then there were two.
Well, we got a bunch of people on, so we got some really good questions, so we might as well just keep going. So, all right. Who would be the starting five? I think my take on this is don't think about positions so much as Simmons is your defensive queen of the chessboard, and so he is going to take away the other team's best option later in the game and shut off the valve of the hot hand. Obviously, Lowry would replace Danny Green in that starting lineup. But positions, I think, because of Lowry's big butt, his stoutness, he is not a guy that you're worried about getting taken to the woodshed down low. He can guard bigger players down low. So I really think offensively, Lowry's your point guard in the half court. Seth is clearly now your shooting guard. And then the other two, Simmons and Tobias, they're just your forwards. And it just, Simmons plays out of the dunker's spot. Tobias plays a little bit more above the break. But so I guess you're saying Simmons would be the 4, right? Because he's going to be in the dunker spot.
Yeah, it's got to. I would replace Lowry with Danny Green in this lineup. Although we have gotten so many comments about moving Seth Curry to the bench to help the bench because that bench is struggling a lot before the last couple games here to end the season. But I would definitely go Lowry. Then the bias, keep him at the 4 for me. I think Doc keeping Tobias at the 4 has done wonders for him this season, and I would go Joel, of course. Who am I missing? And that leaves Danny Green. Like, what is his role next to Shake? Do we even think Tyrese Maxey is part of the playoff rotation moving forward? I mean, it doesn't seem like it, right? So
No, I don't think so.
So then Danny Green does have a role. Although,
well, Danny's got to be any trade for Lowry has to be Danny Green. It has to include Green. It has to.
Yeah. So that makes a lot more sense because you look at Danny Green off that bench and he is a terrible fit.
There's no way to make a Lowry deal unless you were to do Tobias or Ben Simmons. There's no way to make it work.
So you look at the top lineups for the Sixers, plus 44 net per 100 possessions is Seth Curry, Embiid, Tobias, Shake Milton, and Ben Simmons this season, 45 minutes. Most frequent one is the starting lineup. Second best is with Furkan Korkmaz, with Tobias, Danny Green, and Embiid. So you replace Furkan and Danny Green with Seth Curry and Kyle Lowry. You're looking pretty good. There. That is going to be a force to be reckoned with starting lineup-wise. And then you just deal with your 6, 7, 8 guys in that playoff rotation. So that's a question I want to talk to you about, man, because that's what I keep going with. We keep hyping up Ben Simmons with his play lately. True shooting percentage, defense, across the board, 20-plus points a game lately over the last 15 games. What do you expect from Ben Simmons in these playoffs? Because that's what I get. It's so negative. I hate social media. I hate Twitter, especially Sixers Twitter. It's the fucking worst. And all you get is, like, you can't celebrate the good without someone coming in and saying, oh, well, he's a nothing in the playoffs. So there's that. And that's like, no matter how good Ben plays, you're always going to have people come in about Ben in that half-court set when the game slows down a little bit. Do you expect Ben in this Doc Rivers offense to be a bigger presence on offense?
Well, I think when we had our big preseason set of streams, we had the expectations for Ben Simmons. What do we want to see him do? And those were want to get to the line, finish strong instead of trying to finish cute, and that will fix almost all of his problems. And for the first month or so, that just wasn't the case. Teams were walling him off, and he was just not turning that wrist over and dunking. Over the last month, he absolutely has. So if he maintains that just, bull in the china shop, I'm getting to the rim and I'm dunking on you mindset, I think it solves so many of their problems. But I agree with you in that Twitter forces people to take a side, because I also think that the corner of Twitter, which is like, oh my God, Ben Simmons is so underappreciated. Look at all this amazing stuff that he does. And it's mostly like basketball stuff that basketball players do. It's not like stuff we haven't seen. I think what makes him special is still missed and not conducive to a tweet or a highlight. What makes him special, I like the tweets where they, people say, okay, Donovan Mitchell shot 3 for 9, 3 for 12 when guarded by Ben Simmons. Those are the tweets that I think tell this story where you have a guy, a star on another team who got hot, maybe scored 28 points in the game, but did it on 26 shots. And in crunch time, when defended by Ben Simmons, basically got shut down. And that's the reason the Sixers pulled away with the win. I think that's what we should talk about with Ben. Just highlights of him dribbling down the lane and dunking. We got to stop celebrating that just as much as we have to stop talking about his inability to shoot. So I think he's a nuanced player that requires a nuanced conversation. Most people don't. On Twitter, there's just no way to have it in 280 characters. Here's a good one.
Donovan Mitchell versus Ben Simmons last Wednesday. He defended Donovan Mitchell for 8 minutes. Mitchell shot 5 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 8 from 3, and had 3 turnovers. Ben Simmons' last 15 games held opponents to 37% shooting, 28% from 3. Ben Simmons had a 9.7 net rating. He has averaged over 20-plus points a game, 66.3 true shooting percentage, 2.15 assist-to-turnover ratio over those last 15 games, which can be up. That can be definitely improved. But the Ben Simmons hate needs to stop. And it's one of those things that you look at the Sixers' options on offense in the fourth quarter, come clutch time. You got Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, ISO pick and roll, having one of their best career years in this offense. That's not Ben Simmons' job to put the ball in the basket. His job is to lock down the opposing player, and he is doing it better than we've seen, even though his defensive numbers aren't as good as last year, surprisingly. But the true case of it is Ben is a major weapon defensively, and one of the biggest reasons why the Sixers are in the first place.
Yeah, he's a much better defender than last year. I don't care what the numbers say. Yeah. It's so clear that Doc Rivers has figured out how to leverage Ben's special sauce, and he does it in a very he does it in a way that keeps opposing stars off balance. And I think if you take the top 15 players in the league and you leave one guy on them all day, they're always going to get theirs. But Doc's ability to sort of mix up who's defending these guys, I think is really nice. And having the two-cycle as one of those weapons is nice to keep people off balance.
God, how good have those two looked together, man? Like that has been kind of the Bash brothers on defense in the second half of games.
Yeah, but they just when the two of them are on the floor, they have to turn the other team over.
Definitely.
Otherwise, they're playing 3-on-5 on the other end. So it is, I think that the playoff questions are legitimate.
Yeah, no, they are. And Ben, until he proves otherwise, those will be there 100%. So we will see. But I like the way that Doc has kind of unleashed this guy. Just Ben looks like a student of the game defensively this year. He seems to be really, truly watching the game, and just come fourth quarter, he's one of the biggest reasons why the Sixers are one of the best defensive teams in clutch situations, and he just locks them down. He locks them down more often than not. And that goes for Joel Embiid. We don't talk enough about Joel Embiid defensively as well, who, as good as he's been offensively, Embiid is just absolutely dominating in those fourth quarters, in those clutch situations. Anyway.
I think what 25 years from now, 30 years from now, people are going to talk about these two in even more glowing terms than when people, 55, 60-year-olds get glassy-eyed talking about Charles Barkley and Moses Malone. Like,
Yeah.
This pair is better than that. Now, is
Yeah.
Ben Simmons a better player than Charles Barkley? Maybe not, but I just think that people should really appreciate what they've got right now.
I sent out a tweet. You look at how Ben and Joel have progressed from last year to this year. I know last year was just a hot mess, but you look at Ben Simmons passing to Joel Embiid, and that's what you didn't really see last year. Is you didn't see these two progress really anywhere, and you saw Ben passing to Joel Embiid buckets wise frequency 11.1% to 21% frequency up. Major 10 percentage points. Field goal percentage is up from 39.3% to nearly 48% overall field goal percentage from 2-point range. Not that much of a leap. 3 points, 46 to 49. And then you have 3-point field goal percentage, which is 28 to 45% from three. So Ben is definitely finding Joel in better spots. That's attributed to the better floor spacing on the court. It's attributed to Tobias Harris being more locked in and knowing where to be on the court at all times. The coaching staff deserves so much credit across the board for the Sixers team. But you look at guys like Ben and Joel and Tobias knowing where to be, reacting faster with the ball in their hands, being more decisive, and be just reacting better with the ball in his hands and knowing where his teammates are at all times. Same goes for Ben. So it's been just a true salute to Doc Rivers this first half of the season. And that was my little spiel there.
Yeah. So we had a question about Maxey. Do you believe Maxey has hit the rookie wall? I don't buy the rookie wall with him.
I agree. I like he's kind of shown a little bit more aggressiveness. I mean, this guy came out to start the season. Me, Austin, and Thiago were really high with this kid coming out of Kentucky. I mean, you look at Emmanuel Quickly, who has looked absolutely amazing. You look at Tyrese Maxey. This just speaks to the train of Calipari, just pumping guys into the NBA. It's absolutely terrific. And what you kind of saw with Tyrese Maxey is his aggression went down there, like halfway through that first half of the season. His usage rate went down. The turnover percentage, where he was like putting up like 0 turnovers despite being just this wrecking ball offensively, just putting his head down and getting into the paint and penetrating and getting whatever he wants. He did settle for way too many mid-range shots. That is an absolute fact. But he just kind of lost his impact offensively. He started to shoot less. I think that's more attributed to teams knowing how to stop him and game plan against him. And I do think that it's not tired legs. I think it's more so Doc just kind of saving him and more so allowing him to watch the game and learn from a player perspective. What do you think, Jason?
I actually asked Doc about this because there was a period of time where, early in the year he was settling for floaters, pull up mid-range shots, and they were falling, but those shots just have a ceiling for efficiency. And I think those shots are in the soft spot of an opposing defense in the NBA. And I think that there's just a small adjustment on the parts of defenders that made that slightly more difficult, and you saw his numbers go way down. But over the last couple of weeks, he very clearly gave it one extra dribble and got to the rim, which gives him a chance for the kickouts, the outlets, and contact. And he's taking less floaters. So I think he's in the, he hit the league. The league adjusted. He's adjusting. I just think he's part of that rookie process. But I don't buy the rookie wall. He doesn't have tired legs to me. Maybe he's processing a lot of information, but I don't see a physical rookie wall yet.
I think I look at Tyrese Maxey and the way the Sixers season started, like everyone had defined roles. That was a clear, just kind of a lineup that was amazing to watch to begin with. That the team just started out sprinting through the gates. Everyone seemed to know their role. And when COVID hit and Seth Curry went out and Ben and Joel and Tobias, like everyone seemed to then go in and out. That really kind of messed up Tyrese Maxey mentally in terms of who he should be in this offense and what he should be. But I do think the writing is on the wall. I do think that he probably has a limited shelf life this second half of the season. I as much as I love Tyrese Maxey, the player, and it pains me to say this because this is a guy that I'm like, I don't want to trade to bring in like win now guys. But I think this is a longer play that instead of trading for a win now piece, even though Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers, everything is against that. I do think that Tyrese Maxey we haven't even seen his pick and roll defense yet. This guy came out of college being one of the best defenders out of the pick and roll period. So I think we haven't even scratched the surface for what Tyrese Maxey can be as a defensive guard. There's just the ceiling of Tyrese Maxey has been one of the low-key storylines of this first half. I don't think he hit the NBA rookie wall, but I do think that they're going to find an upgrade, and Tyrese Maxey is probably going to be sitting on the bench, which makes me crazy to think that I wouldn't trade a bench player for a major upgrade. But here we are.
I think figuring out his ceiling is like the most important thing that Daryl Morey and his team can do over these last 2 months and over between now and the trade deadline. Because if his ceiling is De'Aaron Fox, you don't trade him for Kyle Lowry. If his ceiling is Victor Oladipo, you really have to now have a real hard conversation with yourself. But if his ceiling is like name the next 100 6'2", lightning quick, 6'2", inefficient guards, then you can get those guys. And you absolutely trade him for a win now piece.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. That would be a great ceiling, but I don't see a Ja Morant. I just don't see the vision, the sort of floor general. Right now, Tyrese Maxey is a very intriguing 6'2" guard. He's not really a point guard. The fact that he's got the ball in his hands so much, it doesn't translate into running the offense and executing the offense. So he's got a green light, and that's good.
You look at him in the pick and roll as a ball handler, nearly 1 point per possession in the pick and roll as a ball handler, nearly 49% in the pick and roll you look at his ability in the pick and roll. I think that's like really truly attached to what Tyrese Maxey is regarding his ceiling. And that's where the conversation starts about how impressive he is. I don't truly think he's a Chris Paul that's going to dissect and find guys in better spots as a kind of point guard in that pick and roll. He's more of a attack downfield, attack like Lou Williams and get buckets type of guy. And I think that's something the Sixers have truly lacked over the last couple of years.
It's an interesting comp. Lou Williams. So can he become Lou Williams?
I definitely think we're only scratching the surface as this guy as a scorer. So I fully respect your opinion, and I do think I do agree that he's not that true point guard floor general in a sense, but I do think he has some of that scoring ability, a little more ISO ability too than we give him credit for down the road. So it's one of those plays. Do you make the play now, or do you kind of give him a chance to kind of let the game slow down for him? Because this guy has just jumped into the NBA the speed of the NBA and he shows he belongs, the fact that we could see Tyrese Maxey one season in, this time next year and really thrive, there's real potential there, man. And that's when you start thinking about maybe we trade that guy for even a better piece. So that's something I've been thinking about.
So yeah, that's I think that's a good point. If he has, I like the Lou Williams comp. If you could know for sure that he was going to have Lou Williams' career, right? You just know that that's the guy he's going to become. Let me go through Lou Williams' true shooting percentage, his efficiency early in his career: 485, 521, 523, 513. He doesn't get to a league average efficiency until he's 23, right? And then at 23, he sort of explodes into becoming a legitimate scoring option. 14 points a game in his 23-year-old season for Philadelphia. And he goes to basically hangs around 14 per game, really until he takes that next leap when he hits 30 years old. So it took him a long time to become an efficient scorer. I don't think Lou Williams ever scored. Yeah, he did. He at 31 and 32, he scored 20 a game. But it came later. It took time. If Maxey had, you knew you could pencil in his career as Lou Williams, do you trade him now for Kyle Lowry? If you know it's going to take 4 years, you're going to have to make a decision about paying him, but you know what you're going to get.
Yeah. So I look at Kyle Lowry as an amazing finisher around the rim. If you look back and watch like early highlights of Lou Williams, not the stone cold killer he was with the Clippers and all that, but you look back at what Lou Williams was when he first joined the Sixers coming out of high school, like he was a terror around the basket. And that's what I think of Tyrese Maxey. His floater, his ability to change speeds, his ability to penetrate, he has a super tight handle. I think the shooting will come, but as just in that pick and roll, as a guy that can just penetrate, get his ability to just beat a defender off the dribble is absolutely crazy. So what is Tyrese Maxey's ceiling? If we're talking about a guy that can be a true spark offensively off the bench, I pause on that Kyrie Lowry trade. And even though Joel Embiid's playing the best basketball we have rarely seen from a big man, I'm dying, man. So the sum up Dibes' take on this entire podcast is I'm glad I'm not freaking Daryl Morey making these decisions, because I'm a trust the process guy. I am a guy that will always think 3-4 years from now rather than now. So if you want to win now, I'm probably your least favorite guy to join this podcast. Overall, I think Tyrese Maxey has it. I think he's got it. Just you look at his footwork, you look at his handle, you look at his feel for the game. He's a gym rat. This is a coach's son that grew up literally in the basketball gym. So I do think we're going to see a massive leap. He's just turned 20. So like this is a guy that's going to just continue to get better. Anyway, that's my spiel.
Maybe. So diverse. I like this comment, but I do have to pause it. So no training camp or summer league. That is true. However, I think what people forget is that during the entire shutdown in COVID, LeBron James and the Clutch people had their own sort of bubble where they all worked out together in Los Angeles. And Tyrese Maxey was invited to that. So he spent basically from May, he had dropped a little on draft night. LeBron James hinted at this. So I asked Tyrese Maxey, first question I ever asked him was, it seems like you were working out this summer with Ben Simmons and LeBron James. So I think that I don't think he's behind where a normal rookie would be, because I think that the ability to work out for 3 months with Ben Simmons, LeBron James, the clutch people, is much better than you'd get in a summer league environment with a bunch of disorganized rookies. So I think he's actually a little bit ahead of where a normal 20-year-old would be.
Lou Williams, as a 20-year-old in the NBA, his second season in the NBA with the Sixers, shot 32% from three, 22% from three. His rookie season, 36 essentially percent. Third year, then 28%. Then he was traded to Atlanta, where he shot in that like 35, 36% range. I think that's pretty fair, expectations for Tyrese Maxey moving forward. If he hits that 35, 36% league average range, I think we're all going to be really happy with that. But I do think he's got true scoring potential. So I really suggest everyone to kind of just go back and watch Lou Williams highlights of when he first joined the Sixers. And there was a feel of the game that is very similar. I'm probably admitting my age here, but there's a feel of the game of Lou Williams and Tyrese Maxey that you just see, just penetrating, getting others in better positions and scoring around the basket.
Yeah, so Rondo too, but quite frankly, I don't see any evidence that he learned anything from Rondo.
I don't see anything from Rondo.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, most people know. I think Rondo is one of the most fascinating players in NBA history.
He's not comparing him to Rondo. He worked out with.
I'm saying he worked out, but I just don't see where he learned anything from Rondo. I don't think he picked anything up. I think where he did pick some things up were just how to be a pro, how to work on his body every day, how to preserve his body every day. I think he just got a huge leg up in the professional routine, much better than most rookies would get. I think Calipari also instills that. Like, I'm betting on Kentucky guys all day long.
Like Alabama, LSU, and with the NFL draft all day, baby, all day.
Yep.
And it's just
it's a safe bet.
Yep. There's something instilled mentally and work ethic wise that it clearly translates, and can't speak enough about Calipari there, even though I'm a John Chaney guy. And rest in peace.
Yep. All right. We have any final questions? Anything you wanna plug?
Me?
Yeah.
Good Lord, man. Are we talking sports or entertainment?
I don't care what it is. I don't care. No, I don't care.
All right, let's go. Let's go sports first. We've got Mark Schofield joining the pod Party on Broad on Thursday. He is a quarterback guru. Make sure you check him out. We're going to be breaking down Jalen Hurts and his potential in 2021, breaking down the quarterback position in the NFL draft and whether or not the Eagles could potentially pick a quarterback. That is a major question mark. I think they roll with Jalen Hurts and give him an audition. But it is still in the air. If you don't have a franchise quarterback, where are you at as a football franchise? So that's going down. We've got Seamus, the one of the best. Seamus joining our pod next week, the following week, to do our second edition of our mock draft. It was really fun, the first one with Chris Malley and a bunch of people. Mark Henry Jr. is terrific. He does the Tough Cover pod. Awesome stuff. If you want to win some money, a lot of sports gambling there. Entertainment-wise, we have a giveaway going down for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We are giving out an encased Anthony Mackie Falcon card that has the piece of fabric that he wore on set for Captain America Civil War that we're giving out for free. We haven't given out the specifics how to win that. But all you got to do is, well, we haven't even done that, but follow us on Twitter at the Suit Up Geeks. Yesterday, we did a podcast on tiering the top MCU movies that are going to be not movies, but TV series as well coming out. But so on Friday, we are going to be doing another Versus series. We're going to be breaking down and grading in visual storytelling, memorable moments, overall film grade or TV grade for the first season of The Mandalorian versus WandaVision, and comparing which one was better, which one did it better. That'll be on Friday night. And then that's pretty much it for now. I've got WandaVision posts. I've got 3 posts out there. 5 things we learned from WandaVision. I've got the series finale review. I've got top 10 moments from WandaVision out there at thepanelines.com. Oh, baby, and that doesn't even touch on the NFL draft, which we've been just killing it. So, man, it's been nonstop. By the way, I forgot to tell, but we have some major TPL culture reveals happening right now. I've been on the recruiting train. We're bringing in 3 movie entertainment pods to TPL. That's going to be really, really fun. So keep an eye out for that. We've got my girl, Amanda, that's going to be joining with another friend. That's going to be a celebration of women in film. We don't have a name on that, but it's going to be awesome. We've got Sin Inspection with my friends Gabe and John. They're terrific. And then we've got the Infinity Bros, who are kind of similar to the Suit Up Geeks podcast, but they cover everything from comics and movies and comic book movies and DCEU to MCU, you name it. So they're like we're kind of rekindling our entertainment area of TPL. So there it is.
Love it. I've got a plug. I did earlier in the stream, but it was before you got on. Have you ever had New Haven style pizza? I know you're a pizza guy, right?
I am a pizza guy. No, that's New Jersey?
No, New Haven, Connecticut.
No, I've never had that.
Yeah, if you're ever in Connecticut, go to New Haven, go to a place called Frank Pepe's Pizza. It's been around for 100 years. It is a very unique style. It is, so in my view, Frank Pepe's is, if you took it and put it in New York, it would easily be a top 5.
What are we talking about here? Is it New York style?
Pizza. It's New Haven style.
What is that?
Look it up, Frank Pepe's. Google it.
Right.
It's a legendary. I mean, you can see it on Food TV Network, and they've been there.
Cool.
And it is just coal-fired, like superheated brick oven.
Okay.
All your brick oven places are knockoffs of this.
Okay.
And I'm up here in Connecticut, so while driving here, I picked up a pie and brought it to the hotel. So that's what I'm eating for dinner tonight. But you got to look it up because I know you're a big foodie. It is legendary. There are very few places in the country that you can just say, if you're in this city, you must eat this thing. And Frank Pepe's is absolutely one of them. Don't expect good customer service there, although I got great customer service in curbside pickup today. They know that they're good. They it's very sort of New York northern attitude, and that's part of the appeal. So you hit culture, I hit food, we hit Sixers to death. Sixers are back in action Thursday. No Ben Simmons, no Joel Embiid. Just to wrap up, they need 2 negative PCR tests before they can return to the court. There is a chance that Joel Embiid will be back on Friday, assuming he tests negative. Ben Simmons cannot return to team activities until Saturday. So is that it? We covered everything? We got it?
Yeah, I'm on my way to Connecticut right now.
I'll bring you back a slice. Right at 2 hours we went tonight. Thank you to everyone who hung out with us. great comments tonight. Really appreciate everyone's comments. I think the winner of the night is Mike D. Brought up some just consistently great for 2 hours. Brought up great comments. So thanks, everyone. And we have big partnership news.
Yeah, Friday.
Coming Friday. We have a final call. And we're going to be taking this to the next level. Until then, subscribe. Tell your friends. Turn on notifications. We will be live. We're live all the time, aren't we? Hours per day, aren't we?
When are we not live?
I don't know. Every time I look in, I have to go to our alternate stream. We're often live twice at the same time. It's crazy.
It's the only way to learn. It's the only, like, I don't understand why we look at other podcasts in this area, in this industry, Philly sports industry. Like, that's the best way to learn and be on camera and get better. So I think that we're a step ahead. And please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yeah, we're trying to fight the next battle, not the last war. So thanks, Chris. Always good to talk to you. Go Blue Coats.
Yeah, baby. Go Blue Coats. Let's go.
Watch tonight, ESPNU. You'll see what you might have coming in Paul Reed. Good night, everyone.